Good morning, listeners and viewers. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Mark. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah.
Morning.
Kevin, Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Hanukkah. Happy Juma. Is happy all of the things. So forgive me, I'm sat in Liverpool. Um, and there's a lot of background noise, whilst I appreciate you can't hear it right now. There's lots of kids and people running around. So, Kevin, thanks for stepping in on the off chance that I may have to step out. But it's our annual review, Jack. So it was incredibly important that you came in with your Ferrari. Did you get there really quick?
Yeah, super fast.
Yeah. All right, brilliant. And uh, anyway, let's kick off. You're listening to Ammar and
Jalf.
And
live on our weekly radio show with our extra special guest here,
And
Kevin.
each will bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Yeah, Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
And we'll be talking shop quite literally, not just corner shops. Whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can't help. We can't help. God, it's the 27th of December, 2024. Sounds really weird to say 2025, right?
Yeah. It reminds me, Omar, when we were at school and you'd watch a movie and there would be a futuristic movie in 2025 and there would be kind of cars hovering the streets and that kind of scenario. And God, 2025, we're just here, just around the corner, a few days away.
We are just here. And it's weird because you're absolutely right. Even now, the shift from 2024, whilst it's only a few days, it's only a year, it just seems like such a big shift.
I think so.
Like 2025. Kevin, how are you? Who are you? Do you want to introduce yourself?
thanks, Ammar. Jeff, pleasure to be here again. Been an exciting year. I work as a projects and team lead at the SME Centre of Excellence, also pioneering and helping Ammar and the wider community deliver through the Asian business connections, fostering a community as well as bringing people together. Been an absolutely exciting year for me personally and for my family and everyone around me. I've seen myself grow. I've seen my family and my friends as well as my colleagues grow, and it has been an exciting year. Plenty of exciting things lined up for us, not just me personally, but my friends and my colleagues around me as well. And looking forward to hearing a lot more on what we've achieved and what we plan on achieving in the next year.
Thank you, Kevin, and a pleasure to have you here. And actually, Jeff, if we reflect on equally our year this year, it's probably been quite a seismic year, hasn't it? As in, from if I look at the Dabawal journey, the Jaff journey, actually, because it's not just a Dabawal journey, Jaff, the the fact that you've gone from the critical mass of 2 to 3 venues to now a fourth venue. And that's probably a tipping point from when you describe the scale up business, because it goes from, sort of being able to be people purely dependent upon people to moving to processes. And that's the growth. Jeff, how does it feel?
Yeah, I think so. I think we obviously have particular values that we're we talk about a lot within our management team, Ammar. And one of the things that I really want to retain, one of our key values, and if I'm setting it, obviously, and the team believe in it, which they do, I think we're going to work very hard on retaining. I think one of it is to keep that small mentality, the family orientated outlook that we've always had, because I think that's such an important trait in the way that we function. That we want to keep that. So we don't want to be corporate. We don't want to have that big mentality. Have all of those. We have processes and policies, procedures, whatever you want to call them. But I think the mentality of a little bit of that extra love and care that we can give our team members, nurturing them like younger brothers, sisters, and that kind of way of doing our business, I feel it's a way that we want to continue. So you're probably right in that if we do any more, which we're certainly not planning to, and we do have a container kitchen. So all in all, we have 5 sites with the one in St. James's and fan zone. So I think we're at that place where if we want to maintain that outlook to your business and values, then definitely I think we're at a tipping point for sure.
And there's nothing to suggest you can't try and balance the two between people and process. But actually, if you are growing, if you are scaling, if your business is growing a minimum of sort of 15-20% year on year, then it doesn't matter um, what you say about the people focus. Yes, there is a dependency on the right people, and there's no question about that. But without those processes, without those mechanisms, as soon as a person was off, the business would fail, right? And actually, we in our own businesses have experienced a bit of that, where it's almost a case of everybody, the business is dependent upon particular people and what they do, as opposed to this being the business, and that's what the people do to deliver upon the business. Of course, it's a people. You live in hospital, you work in hospitality, you run a hospitality business. We run a service business. Unless we're delivering constantly and consistently, then people aren't going to continue. And actually, speaking very openly and honestly, we've experienced a bit of that, where sadly someone has had to go off because they've suffered a family loss, or they're suffering from grief, or there's been some changes in the team and whatever else. And that then enforces, actually, Jeff, that the most critical part of a business are the processes. The people, yes, or have to deliver upon those processes. And if you haven't got the right people, they're not going to be able to do that. But this is our values. So the very fact that you've talked about these are our values, demonstrate that you've thought about process, because these are our values. This is how we live. And there's a couple of things, because I've been doing a bit of reflection, and actually this session is a bit about reflecting, or this show is a bit about reflecting. And it's really interesting. People talk about purpose and passion, as in people talk about what's your purpose and what's your passion, and that the two distinctly different things. Yes, they should support one another. Your passion is insight, it's a feeling. Your purpose is what you do, it's an action. So hopefully your passion drives your purpose, and your purpose reinforces your passion. But they are two different things. So recognizing that and asking that question, Jaff, what is your passion? What is it, Jaff?
What is my passion? It's quite an interesting question. I guess my passion has always been to be a restaurateur, and to try and be the best
But
at what.
why? I mean, being a restaurateur, you could
I
be
think it's
anything anywhere.
I think it's intrinsic in the blood, isn't it? Because from the time that my father started and I was tagging along from, a very, very young age, it was just something that is part of our heritage, really, family's heritage. So it was ingrained. But I guess we have been on that journey where what we have today wasn't quite what we had yesterday, and I guess you feel you that passion leads you to. If you've got the passion, I guess you've got the passion and you've got the purpose where you want to be the best. And if you can bring those two together, then you can go on a really exciting journey and I guess put yourself in a fortunate position like where we are, where we are we're passionate, we're proud, we're passionate, we have a purpose, but we're also proud that we're able to attract the type of people that we do, because it's the who's who of society, which is a really beautiful thing to be able to serve. And ultimately, I say to our guests, we're there to serve, and we actually get a buzz to serve people, make their experiences, make their memories, and that's how we're built. And interestingly, Ammar, when we interview people, and we've interviewed people in hospitality who feel a bit embarrassed, restaurant managers who feel a bit embarrassed to serve a plate to a table because they feel that they're beyond that. They're like a big general manager now who knows, I'm going to get the little guys to serve. And when I noticed that, it just didn't feel right, because I said to myself, you've lost your passion because you think that you've become somebody and you've become a big guy where you don't want to serve the guest anymore. And that's the essence of hospitality, which we'll never lose. And once you lose that, you might as well go into a different profession.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because um, these are very personal views, yeah. And and you've just illustrated both your passion and your purpose. Your passion is to see people have a great experience. That's what you like doing. You like, sort of having people enjoy themselves. Come, and the greatest way of doing that is by feeding people. Your purpose is how you do that, is you offer restaurants. So it's interesting. But I mean, I'll before I come on and ask Kevin what his passion and purpose is, and actually, these are the questions we should be asking in interviews, shouldn't you? If I think about it, this is the type of question that you should be asking someone. And I don't think I've ever been asked what's your passion and what's your purpose, but they're the two most critical parts and points of our life. But coming back to your general manager being above their station, or whatever you want to describe them, Jeff, I, I'm a bit the same, right? As in, I use this toilet roll analogy. I'll go into the toilet. There isn't toilet roll there. I'll go and get the toilet roll, and then I'll complain to somebody. Why isn't somebody else noticing the toilet roll? Or I'll go in the kitchen and someone spilled something, and I'm going, why isn't someone just tidying that up, or something's ran out, or whatever it is. Now, I think that's an owner mentality, right? I don't think it's an exclusive. And there's a big difference between leaders and managers, right? There is a big difference there, and you need to take note of that. And actually, my views around um, are people above their job grade, to serve someone. I would argue, no, they're not. But if they're having to serve someone, right, then there's something wrong with the operation, because they
Um,
should be. No, but I'm just,
yeah,
because, and this is just a view, but I'm talking about, having studied. Like, I don't talk about these qualifications or the studies that I've done, but being a fellow of the Institute of Leadership, having, the qualifications that I've done and studied management and things like that, and actually some of the experiences from a military perspective, right? If the best leadership, best management, the most effective is in the military, right? Is what you would say, because it's life and death. And it's not to say that a general wouldn't shoot a gun or push a button or do whatever's required, but actually his strengths, his skill set is more effective in ensuring that the operations are, effective and efficient, right? So that's not to say you wouldn't go and have a chat with the customer or whatever it is. I mean, they walk around, they talk to the troops on the ground, they encourage them, they inspire them, whatever it is. But anyway, it's a really interesting point, isn't it? It's a really interesting perception to think that. So I don't have an issue with, someone saying, actually, I'm managing this and this is my job, as long as there isn't a toilet roll gap, or there isn't a, because then they're not doing their job properly. So if a customer's ever waiting for some food and a manager walks past and goes, well, that customer, and someone grabs the manager and goes, I haven't got my food yet. Well, okay, I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to go and get your food because that's the right thing to do. Secondly, I'm going to find out why that has happened or why that customer hasn't been briefed. And maybe that's a learning thing and a skill set thing, but it's imparting that, isn't it? Is what it is. Anyway, Kevin, come back to your what's your purpose and your passion?
Uh, it's a tough one because I'd I'd like to say that I'm still in pursuit of my purpose, and I do like contributing and helping people in whatever capacity. People, not just people, people and animals in whatever capacity I can. I've worked as a teenager with organizations like Cry, um, bits and pieces of in volunteering with WHO. Uh, Worked about 4 years with an animal shelter. So I've always had a strong sense of belief of just getting some sort of, my gratification comes from helping people and people, animals around me, and that's it's a very fulfilling um, way of living life according to myself. But then again, financial freedom and having the money to manage my passion is something that I would like to, have some sort of support with over the coming years. So purpose at the moment is still in the works. The idea is to probably be at some place and some time where I can balance and focus more on doing things for people and doing things for animals in such a way that it allows me to be more flexible with whatever my approach is. So at the minute, the idea is to help as many people and animal as possible. How do I do that is something that I'm still trying to figure out. I'm sure there are a lot of people that I meet that agree on the same lines. It's just trying to find the right set of people uh, that could help me on this journey. And I've met quite a lot of people. In fact, this was a conversation I was having with Ammar just a couple of months back on how we could help the armed forces personnel on career progressions post their service, and how do we fit in the gap that veterans have with unemployment, and how do we fit in the best leadership skills and avenues for management studies so that they can have career progressions post their service as well. So it's always these conversations with people and meeting people that you get to learn more about your purpose and what you would like to figure out on this journey. So yeah, so that's in a nutshell, that's what I like, helping people and animals. How do I do it, or how do I plan on doing it, is still in the works, and hopefully in the next 5 years, I would have a solid answer for this.
Can I ask, Kevin, when you say looking after animals,
Yep.
in what way and what kind of animals do you look after?
So, so this is back in India, about 1.5 years ago. I've worked with an organization called Charlie's Animal Rescue, and this would be dogs, cats, any of the barn animals, or any animals in terms of tortoises, turtles that are bought by the shop. So these would be animals that are either abandoned or have been subjected to some sort of mental or physical abuse and are then left on the streets. Or possibly these animals have just been run over and no one's done anything about it. So we would rescue them, and over a period of about 4.5 years, I rescued about 16 animals by myself, took them into foster care while working full time with an MNC. So I would dedicate my weekends to just possibly help them get better. So I was working more towards them being um, eased into families for adoption. So they would be in a phase where they've gone through a lot of trauma, gone through a lot of pain and suffering, where they aren't really open to human interaction anymore. And there's a procedure and process of getting those animals to be ready for human interaction and be comfortable to interact with humans again. So that they're ready to be adopted again. So that capacity is what I was working towards.
Interesting. Very interesting.
What was the most interesting animal you've ever rescued, Kevin?
Oh, they're terrapins. So terrapins are the small turtle-like
Yeah.
things that you see in the ponds. There were almost about 36 of them that were flushed down a toilet by
Really?
one of the peddlers that had a police raid, and they were stuck in the drainage system. And this we got to know, someone had reported this because they started seeing terrapins being flushed into the sewage, and people were trying to figure out how such exotic, exquisite looking animals are just, floating around in the sewer. And that's when we realized that someone is just trying to get rid of them. And that was an operation that took almost about 2 hours because we had to dismantle the whole drainage system to rescue all of them. So yeah, and later on we got to know that these were terrapins that were smuggled from the Maldives, and absolutely exquisite set of species. That specific species, there were only 464 of them left before extinction. So those
Okay.
36, yeah, so those 36 were out of those. So that was an interesting one.
Wow.
Very interesting. Um, so purpose, passion. The other thing that is really, I mean, great answer, Kevin. And some of the other things that I've realized as I get older is when someone says, what's your purpose? What's your passion? Maybe they don't ask those questions, but what is it? What's your ambition? What's your aspiration? And it's interesting because I still sit and people, I say to people, I still don't know what I want to be, right? I, and that might sound really odd when you've been doing what I've been doing, and I've got a number of business interests. Some of them they do okay, others haven't done so well. My purpose and passion is purely people. I like to see other people do well. I'd like to get to a point where I simply don't have to worry about bills, right? Because sadly, the more you grow, the bigger your bills. It's is part of life's challenges. But I'd like to get to a stage where I don't have to worry about the bills. Full stop. And actually, thank God, and I'm very grateful for everything that we have. We don't complain. Well, we do all of the time. But anyway, we don't complain about what we've got is the point. And particularly when other people are struggling the way that they are. But equally, having worked for that, you realize the value of it, right? Is part of that journey. But coming back to, I'd like to get to a stage where I don't have to worry about the bills. I don't have to worry about how much toilet roll is in the toilet, and I'm able to just give away all of my time, effort, and energy to adding value. that's what I'd like to do, is purely just add value. Um, Thank you for that. My lovely assistant, my wife, just brought me a cup of tea. Anyway, it's so they're the two things, and it's like, what's your passion? My passion is to see other people do well. I love it. I love seeing people happy, right? So it's and that's where probably being generous to a fault, because you just want people to have a good experience, well, whoever those people are, whether you have a relationship with them or not, is part of what I love doing. I love seeing that, and my purpose is to make that happen through enterprise. So yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, it's Friday morning. People are sat there thinking, why are we having this very deep conversation now, where we're talking about personal ambitions and aspirations and things like that? We should be having some cha cha chai or something like this, right? Or a dabba. Jeff, do you do breakfast?
No, we did do it, but we stopped it.
Right. Okay. Have you been to cha cha chai?
Yes, I have. It's really very good. I
Yeah,
like it.
I do like it. And there's lots of other cha-cha-cha places as well as cha-cha slide, just for the purpose of this. We're not promoting any particular restaurant over others. I enjoy all of that type of food. But yes, I've been sat eating in Liverpool, eating a lot of Christmas type food is why
So, what was your Christmas dinner, Mo?
um that was a great question. Vegetarian, it was what it was. I'm in Liverpool, so it was, yeah. I was sat here eating veggie food, but tasty. Marks and Spencers do a great, and there's lots of other shops. Sorry, there's these exceedingly good or whatever it is. That's Mr. Kipling. Anyway, what about you, Jack? Did you do your usual get a big leg of lamb and have
Yeah,
a party?
we had a big Christmas dinner where we get a roast leg of lamb, um, just make some lovely, just the typical English Christmas dinner. Instead of turkey, we do the filleted chicken breasts with rosemary, lots of caramelized veggies, especially the carrots,
Mm.
and then the potatoes, the gravies, cabbage. And you know what? It is a very tasty meal, Ammar.
Mm.
The Sunday, effectively, it's a bit of a refined version of the Sunday roast, isn't it? In some ways,
Yeah, it is. It is.
yeah. So I think it's really enjoyable, and the
Yeah,
whole
it
thing.
is. It is.
mm, it's
No, well, if you remember our wedding, yes,
it was brilliant.
we had a dal starter because our favorite dish of me and my wife is like, roti and dal, and the chefs made that. And then we had a halal roast dinner for the
Yeah,
main, and it was really tasty. It
brilliant.
was like, yeah,
Yeah, it was
because
really
we
the beef.
enjoyed that. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it was. Is what it was. Anyway, food, going back to food brings people together, doesn't it? Is what it does. Kevin, tell us, what was your Christmas experience? What did you do and why did you do it?
Christmas was brilliant, very cool,
Wasn't
usual traveling. Uh, did a bit of Scotland, met my family for Christmas. I did the honors of cooking. I always enjoy cooking for everyone. So, again, although on the same lines of Christmas Sunday, a normal Sunday chicken roast, but a little modified. Had mash, had a bit of kebabs along with it. Basically, just used the oven to the fullest, and yes, it fed everyone, had plenty of wine, had plenty of rum cake. So that's a family tradition. We soak raisins and all dry fruits about almost about 1.5 months before we bake the cake. So it's a more stronger version of a plum cake, very rum intensive. So so I had plenty of rum cake, had a lovely lunch and just enjoyed ourselves. It's very rare that all of us come under one roof and get to actually speak and play and have all these games together. So yeah, it was excellent. And back in Newcastle now, things are very slow. It's very unusual for me to see Dean Street and the Quayside to be this empty. So yeah, so just waiting for everything to kickstart again.
Enjoy it. I actually like the city centre when there isn't anybody in it.
Mm.
I've got some. I mean, don't get me wrong. I prefer it when the city centre it's filled with lots of people, and it must be interesting because Jeff and I don't drink, but it must be really interesting to see other people and yeah, get merry. It's part of the Christmas thing. Everybody does that um, to quite a significant state. And actually, I love the family time. So we did play lots of games here in the in-laws. There's the children are there. It's all about the children. Jeff, did all the kids come round and did they like
Yeah,
play and stuff like
everyone
that?
comes round. Stuff's away at the moment, but yeah, everyone's around, and you do that whole family thing. And for me, especially, Ammar, it's my proper 1 day off where
Yeah,
the
yeah,
million
yeah.
coming through. You don't have to check in, and it's definitely a lazy day for me. Traditionally, I put my feet up and put the women in the kitchen where they belong. Is that politically incorrect? I don't know if it is or not, but but that's what
Actually,
all,
that's it.
all this.
I've cancelled you. You're
Uh,
cancelled now. No one's gonna. That's outrageous, Jeff. You can't say that.
so
That's preposterous.
you, uh,
Um,
the sisters
uh,
and everyone's in the kitchen cooking, and I'm thinking to myself, I said, you know what? On this day, I'm definitely not gonna raise a finger. But I ended up doing the dishes at the end. But anyway, yeah,
that's your place. That's
that's
where you should be doing the Mr. Potwash. But
yeah.
yeah, no, and you know what? I, I let people get on. My brother-in-law made the food. Um, I struggle sitting. I really struggle sitting.
Nah, because you're a good
Uh,
cook. You cook, don't you, Mo?
no, but I struggle because actually, it might sound really peculiar. I'm a bit of an introvert, so when I'm in a house and when I'm in my house, I prefer just to be in the kitchen, cooking, serving, then preparing, and then feeding. I'm a feeder, so I really like that, and I like the mental stimulus of doing it, because it's like you got to prepare that there and you got to do this and that's ready there. And that's the thing. It's, unlike a traditional curry or a meal where it's you put things in a pot. Yes, you've got to do it effectively. There's a recipe, there's certain stages to it. um, you're doing several different dishes. So I really enjoy it. So, I missed that. But equally, it was nice being served upon, um, and you just overindulge. I mean, Jeff, the shops and retail hospitality reported, some of their best ever trading up until Christmas. But yesterday, lots of retail reported that Boxing Day was nowhere near what it had been for several years. So that's
Mm.
really interesting. How were you open yesterday?
Yeah, we were open, but it wasn't. It's never crazy busy though on Boxing Day. Today, nor tomorrow, are they anything like a normal Friday or a Saturday? Because a
Right.
lot of people are out, and it's just that time of the year. But I think
Mm.
I did feel more that you see, you can gauge how retail is doing by the the people that are sending you emails a lot earlier, because normally they would hold fire for that 50% off some of the retail shops
Mm.
until kind of January. But when they kind of loosen that as soon as even before Boxing Day, it means that they haven't done as well. That's my analysis of it. So I think retail, I can it, to me, from what I've seen with my own eyes on Boxing Day, and when the newspaper reports were saying that it's going to be X amount of £1 billion spent, I'm thinking to myself, I just can't see it because all the sales have already been in place. So why would people wait until Boxing Day? It's not like traditionally, where Boxing Day is when the sales began. It's changed a lot over the last few years, but each year this is moving earlier and earlier. And I think hospitality must have, like you said, struggled after Christmas.
There were actually the sales started literally on Christmas Day. I think the emails started coming out because
Yeah, but I was getting
they'd done that.
a few days before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to do a review. That was the purpose of this particular radio show. Before I do, bear with me 1 second. I just need to shut a door that is yeah. And yeah, speak between yourselves. Obviously, we're on air, so need to be mindful of any dead air. So Asian Business Connections, this is the review that we're doing, and let's share this slide and see what happens. And can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you see it? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so what is going on in the world? And some of the highlights. So it was really, really interesting from a ABC perspective, Jeff, because we launched the Inclusion by Default campaign in January. We hosted a conference at Kingston Park. 130 odd people came together from across the public, private, and third sectors, and with the ambition of helping make our Northeast the most inclusive region in the UK by the end of 2025. And it's what's interesting is the fact that that led to, or it didn't lead to, that predicated what happened everywhere else in the world. There was this huge uproar against migrants and immigration, and we've talked very openly and honestly about this, Jack, our feelings. Migration needs to be managed effectively. We need good quality, skilled people. We've seen the impact that it's had on both hospitality, retail, care, all of those places, Jack, where Brexit happened and people from Eastern European left, didn't they, Jack?
Yeah, 100%. And it's caused a massive gap in that kind of group of employment that so many industries had.
And effective migration, no one would disagree with. Here we are, three brown people. I don't know if that's politically correct or whatever it is, but none of us, right, feel that it's fit and proper. Well, actually, I can only speak for myself. None of us would want any of our communities or services overwhelmed because of unplanned migration. There's like if and there were some of the figures are crazy since the new government. Hundreds of thousands of people. Migration's got worse, and it's where are these people going? And people mistake the impact of migration and think that it's purely migrants or people from other countries that are impacting whether they have waiting lists, whether they get a property, whether they get the care they need. That forms only a very small part of the problem. The problem is the inefficiencies and the lack of investment, right? So, I mean, Jack, we talk about tax and people being prepared to pay taxes and all of that. But when that just keeps going up and the waiting lists keep going up and the lack of housing for people is more prevalent, the lack of everything, you just think to yourself, this is mismanagement, isn't it? And that's where part of the challenges come about. So anyway, highlights ABC. We kicked off this campaign. We couldn't have um, forecasted or foreseen the importance of it. We then held a series of round tables, working with various partners, talking about faith, because people mistake faith and religion as another part of an issue, and it's not. It's I love the fact that people have their religion, and whatever their religion is, I don't have an issue with. Islam's a beautiful religion. It stands for peace, and the vast majority of people within Islam, if not all of them, want peace, want to live their lives, want to practice their religion, and arguably the vast majority of people in a church, would appreciate. They love people, they love children, and they want to see children not harmed in any shape, fashion, or form. The church has, been it's been a particularly hard year for the church. Well, the abuse and the allegations of abuse and all of this over the years. So there's bad people, is the point across the board. But the vast majority, I'm glad to say, aren't. We are peaceful, happy, positive individuals who like to see other people do well. The inclusion by default roundtables, religion inclusivity. We talked about faith at Womblebond Dickinson. We had inclusive recruitment with talent heads. We talked about inclusive awards with the Grand Gosforth Hotel. And we had a few side events and side conversations. We had thousands of people contribute to the survey. And then we've connected globally as what we've done. We've done a lot with Saudi. The International Trade Center opens in January. And, that's one of the most exciting things. And then the ABC Awards, Jeff, they do such an incredible job, don't they?
Oh, it's amazing. I think to give all those people that lift, that recognition, that, do you know what, Ammar, if some people, if it wasn't for the ABC Awards, they would work all their life, and yes, they would make money, and they would be recognized within their kind of business itself. But who's going to go out and give them the recognition within the wider community? And that's so important. It's so important. I think it's going to become a ironstone of future achievers, the ABC Awards, and hopefully, it'll continue to grow and grow.
I mean, for me, Jeff, we set up, if you think about it, the conversations that we had with those other organizations as well who existed. And then for us to get to where we got to with ABC, with the support of people like Kevin and Amit and the partnerships with Spice FM and everything else. In fact, we've helped raise Spice FM's profile because of the ABC Awards, seeing people like Vikas Kumar, get an award and then get an MBE, seeing so many individuals get an ABC award and then go on to become or do something better or bigger. Burger Drop, Hassan, he's gone on to win so many awards. And I'm not just saying it's because of ABC, but that profile raising does such a big thing for people. And I love it. I think it's one of the best things you can do is to celebrate other people, so the impact of the ABC Awards, we've achieved a 255% increase in online engagement. 2 million people we've connected with globally. The awards, 26 winners across 10 categories. It's just been brilliant. And it demonstrates how brilliant it is when this year, for the first time ever, RBC Brew and Dolphin have sort of said, "Can we be the headline sponsor?" And they're agreeing to do that in December. The awards aren't until October because they realise the value of it, and they've gone, "We want to be the number one supporter of what you're doing." And we're doing some amazing things. I mean, we're going to talk about our plans in next week's show, where we've got a number of accelerator programs. We're supporting Asian women. I mean, Jeff, your sister was, such a pioneer, or both of your sisters, have been such pioneers. And joking aside about women and whatever else, it's fantastic to see them do so well, demonstrating that actually their faith plays a pivotal role in what they do and how they do it. But I mean, the initiatives that we've supported, the Big Pie Challenge, Northern Business Women, Lifted Project, and we're doing some amazing things. Can you hear the kids in the background?
No.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's my headphones are really well. I should start using these more. Can you hear me more clearly?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah, because I have a microphone on the desk, and Amit and Sandeep always complain about the sound quality, but it's either the laptop or it's my headphones. Might just be me. I'm really excited to be talking to both of you. Um, and the SME Centre of Excellence, I mean, Kevin, you've supported 1,500 entrepreneurs. You've 20,000 hours of dedicated support, 300 community members engaged, multiple startups, 150 scale-ups. It's been brilliant, hasn't it?
It's absolutely phenomenal, Ammar. And in fact, just the last week, we were just going through all the clients that we've engaged with, all the businesses, right from the business idea stage to them now being revenue generating. We've supported them through that whole process and journey. It's very interesting that these are not just traditional businesses, but these are businesses that have now developed over the past couple of months that are more modern, more new age, and even futuristic. It's from having a business that would like to develop interiors out of Cheviot wool and all those things to now having deep tech initiatives and sensor systems that are wanting to make their own business plan and make their business successful. Taking all of these businesses through that whole journey has been absolutely empowering for us. And we're very excited because we've got almost the next 2 or 3 months of support that we've already been asked for. We've had businesses that are very interested and very excited to kick off their new year with building their whole business idea into a revenue generating model. So I personally feel, given the statistics that we've been performing on and the statistics we've been delivering on, 2025 is going to be almost a threefold growth for us in terms of our client. So very exciting times ahead and looking forward to it.
Brilliant. And well done. And thank you for all of your support and your initiative, Kevin. It's wonderful to have you leading on these type of activities where there's some peace of mind from an entrepreneur perspective, allowing me to not worry about the toilet roll. And I use that analogy. People are probably who's just tuned in going, "Why is Ammar talking about toilet rolls?" Anyway, it's an analogy that I use, that as a business owner, as a business leader, you shouldn't have to worry about these little things because they should just be taken care of, allowing you to worry about the big things. And I think 2025 is our year to thrive. Undoubtedly, and given the fact that the SME Centre of Excellence helps individuals and organisations start, survive, and thrive, it's this year. I've got my goals now. I've got my 3-year goals. That's where I know I want to be. And in 3 years' time, that's where I'm going to be. The International Space Station at Newcastle Airport is probably one of the most exciting and biggest projects taking place in the northeast of England. Full stop. And I'm super excited and super scared actually. It's one of the biggest things that I've ever taken on, and we need to do it properly. And everybody who hears about it or it wants to get involved, so it's super exciting. And we're going to be sharing a lot more. If you're interested in growing globally, accessing $6.3 trillion projects happening in Saudi, the Middle East, in India, in Turkey, in Asia, then this is the destination. It is going to be exclusive. So unless you are scaling up and unless you fit a particular criteria, it's not going to be for you. So whilst we've got lots of businesses who'd say, oh, can I just have a desk there, please? Or can I just come and work from there? We're being really fussy. We only want to work with scale-up businesses who have an ambition to exit. We've got investors involved, we've got innovation involved, and we've got internationalization. So helping launch the businesses. So whether you're franchising, you're interested in franchising, or any market, we're not, any sector, there's a space for you. Anyway, it was talking about happiness and joy and things like that, Jalf. The football, what's happening?
Do you know what, Ammar? Yesterday was the most exciting, fun match this season.
Was it really?
Were you not? You weren't there, were you? Oh, it was it was amazing. It was brilliant. Right. Watching all the ruckuses going off on the touchline between Jason Tyndall and Unai Emery and the coaching teams. Eddie wasn't involved in any of that. We absolutely riled them and fired them up, and we just pushed them off the edge. And as a team, we just psychologically we did damage them, and it was a 3-0 victory. We're on fire at the moment, Ammar. Doing
touch wood. Yeah, it's really exciting. My son, who sadly is a Scouser, went and watched Liverpool at Anfield last night, and he was crying because it was a surprise. He didn't know. So he went there and watched his favourite team win, Leicester, which was and seeing Mo Salah score a goal. And they were saying actually, and I haven't been because his mother took him because she's a Scouser and I'm not. I wouldn't go. I'm a cool on me. Anyway, she said the atmosphere and the singing there was far more powerful than Newcastle, and I was like shocked.
I think it is. It is. It's because Liverpool, at the end of the day, whilst we are very, very passionate as fans, the only thing that we can sing, like we were singing yesterday, the song with Villa, you laughed at us when we went down. Who is laughing now? I mean, that's because that's a kind of, and Villa are singing, well, Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that. So I was saying to some of my friends yesterday, it's how nonsense is that song that we sing? That you laughed at us when we got relegated, and we're laughing at you now. Is that the extent of our achievements?
We need to
absolutely ridiculous. If you remember, when we do win something, hopefully, the euphoria and the fans are going to have something genuine to sing about, basically, and Liverpool have a lot to genuinely sing about. So
we do. Anyway, we've come to the end of the show. All the best for the new year. Jalf and I will be back next year sharing plans, tips, and processes. All the best. Take care.
It's Red Hot Radio. South Korea's